In the latest marker of a deeply toxic and abusive relationship that ended in murder, Shraddha Walkar, who was murdered by her partner, her WhatsApp conversations and Instagram chats with friends and co-workers from 2 years ago show that she was a victim of domestic violence. She was once beaten so badly by her partner, Aftab, now charged with having killed her in Delhi, that she couldn't get out of bed and had to be hospitalized even. A WhatsApp chat from November 2020 between Shraddha and a work colleague. You can see them talking about, quote, the beating that she got the previous day that caused her blood pressure to fall, how she did not have the energy to even get up, so much so that she had to ask for the day off from work. She speaks about going to his parents, and needing to make sure that he moves out. That's not all. Hospital records show that Shraddha Walkar was hospitalized in a hospital in Vasai near Mumbai between the 3rd and the 6th of December 2020 with internal injuries 2 years ago. In an Instagram chat with a friend, when Shraddha shared a photograph to show off a new hairstyle, the friend notices some injuries. Shraddha then says her nose got fractured because she tripped, quote, she tripped while climbing the stairs at home. Around a week after this, she was in a private hospital in Vasai between the 3rd and the 6th of December. That's what records are showing. The doctor there says that Shraddha only had internal injuries at the time, that she suffered severe back pain, trauma and internal injuries that could be suggestive of a fall at home or of violence. She did not go back for a follow-up checkup. All the signs were there. All the red flags in her chats. She's talking about taking chakkars of police thanas. And someone recommends a Mahila Mandal group that she should reach out to. But she'd reached out to friends, to supervisors at work, the police and even a Mahila Mandal group. Yet how is it possible that we are debating her murder? That she's become a statistic in a list of victims of domestic abuse? How did she fall through the cracks? Has it been a monumental collapse of the system? Who is accountable? Tonight on Reality Check, we have Pranav Kabra, Shraddha's a psychiatrist. We have Ujjwal Nigam, senior advocate and Indian Special Public Prosecutor. Shashikant, the former DGP, Mr. Shashikant. Tahira Hassan, an author and a women's activist. Trisha Shetty, founder of She Says. And Rajat Shukla will be joining us. He's a friend of Shraddha's. But I want to just go over that first, that text, so disturbing. I won't be able to make it today. She's talking about work. I won't be able to make it to work today because of all the beatings yesterday. My blood pressure is low. My body hurts. I do not have the energy to get out of bed. She tells her work manager in a WhatsApp chat. She attaches a photograph of her injury marks. Screenshots of these conversations are now with the Delhi police. This has been corroborated by her hospital admission around the same time. Trisha Shetty, far from misusing domestic violence laws that most people claim, most women, in fact, avoid reporting domestic violence for various reasons. But in this case, she did report it. She reached out. She tried to get help. Yet, why is it, do you think, that we are here and we are reporting on her murder?
I think it draws a bigger picture as to the state of affairs. You know, very often we like talking about abusers when they are strangers in dark alleys, when they are unknown people to the survivor or the victim. But the truth is, as we are often confronted when it comes to violence, it happens in very intimate settings. It happens within the closed doors of one's homes, and it is perpetuated by someone closely known to the survivor. So then what happens when you report it? Often, when you go to the police station, it's treated as a matter of ghar ki baat ghar pe rakho. You see a sense of hesitancy to get into domestic issues, right? The second aspect is violence, especially domestic violence, doesn't start at the apex of the violence. It starts insidiously. It starts with first abusing the person, raising your voice, throwing furniture around. You don't just start right away by hitting a person. So then when the survivor eventually, if she reaches out for help,
because we can go back 2 years to hospital records, to WhatsApp chats 2 years ago. Exactly what you're saying, Trisha.
And then there's a question of why didn't you leave the first time? Oh, why are you staying with the abuser? You know, not understanding that the abuse didn't start with aggressive assault. It starts slowly and you make justifications. And critically, this is an abuser you love and the abuser is telling you they love you. So imagine what it does to your self-esteem and your idea of yourself and your self-identity when you are being hit and abused by someone who is telling you repeatedly, I love you. Right? So then there's complete isolation.
It. You asked for it.
Exactly. You deserve it. You asked for it. You did this. That's why I am doing this
if
to you.
If only you hadn't, yeah.
Exactly. And there's isolation, because who are you going to talk about this to? You're going to tell your friends and family members that someone you love is abusing you. So there's an element of shame. Yes. So there's so many elements to this. So I think the one thing I keep saying is get help, get mental health help, and keep having your support system that doesn't question you, doesn't inflict further the cycle of shame.
I feel shamed in a sense that you and I can be sitting here saying this, get help, get mental health, because, you know, according to me, she did. She ticked all the boxes. She did try to do this. She did also have a psychiatrist. Tahira Hassan joins us here. Tahira, as Tushar rightly points out, we're all responsible. Domestic violence is seen as a private matter. Lovers quarrel, chhod do. They'll fix it themselves. Who did she reach out to? She was isolated. You know, she had, disengaged from her family because she fell in love with somebody who they did not approve of. And she kept saying, she told her friends that she would leave Aftab. But she didn't, eventually.
Actually, you know, in these inter-religion marriages, mostly the girls are abandoned by the parents. They are left in isolation. They don't know whom they should go and complain. And this murder does not take 1, 2, 3 days. After long, this domestic violence cases.
Yes, as Tushar pointed out. But ma'am, what did Shraddha come to you? How did she reach out to you?
In the apartment also that there was a fight was going on, but they never intervened. Are they not responsible? It's not a personal matter. She just shared her pain with colleagues, with the friends, with the Mahila Mandal. You are telling me what the Mahila Mandal was doing, what they were doing, why they did not take a step, why did not come forward and said, I'm with you, Shraddha. You know, we lost the life of this girl. Now, the emphasis should be that police should collect each and every evidences, even the fragile one, to get the justice to Shraddha. We don't want Chawla rape case to be repeated, you know. Accused, acquitted because lack of evidences. Court will deliver
I'll come to that, but I want to stick on this one point that Trisha has pointed out. You know, the shame that surrounds this when you have to report someone who you have fought with the whole world for. You've left your home, you've left your family for this person who then turns around and ends up abusing you. Rajat Shukla is a friend of Shraddha's. He joins us. Thank you for your time in this very difficult time. But in one of the WhatsApp chats, you know, it says that the manager asked for her husband's name. That suggests that Shraddha had told everyone in office that they were married. Is that true?
The place where they were staying, they were also in the rent agreement posing as husband and wife. And that is something that is very, very shockingly surprising for me as well. And today the things that I have got to know is spine-chilling. It actually brings tears to my eyes knowing the way she was treated. Because post 2019, Shraddha had isolated her from all the friends. Like also the best female friend she had.
Can you guys hear me?
I can. We can. Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, also from the female friend, the best friend she had. So imagine of the impact this guy, Aftab, had created on this girl and made her life so limited just around him. So Shraddha, you know, she had distanced people in such an extent that, you know, today when I got to know from one colleague of her that, you know, the way she was treated, the way she was actually, you know, addressing Aftab as his husband, and the way she was actually telling that she's I mean, the way she was beaten, and you know, I as a friend feel really bad about this. this kept on happening, and to an extent that.
Rajat, I'm really sorry to put you in the spot, and we do appreciate your talking to us. I feel I must ask a question that I think many people are struggling with. That if Shraddha did reach out, and I hope maybe you can try and shed some light on this, she reached out to so many people. How is it that, no one reported that she was missing for a whole month, at least, after she was killed? She was killed in May, and that's a question that's bothering a lot of viewers, everyone who's watching this story and have just been absolutely shocked and horrified by it.
Shraddha was, she loved to travel, and people thought, back in the mind, they were a little afraid, of course, by her absence. But they also somewhere deep down thought that maybe she's traveling somewhere all alone, solo travel, because this boy was too dominating, and he was not of the nature of traveling. His nature included partying, taking drugs, and doing all stupid things.
Memories.
But Shraddha was not this kind of a girl. She loved to travel. She wanted to be in peace. She wanted to be around the nature. So, we were just hoping that Shraddha might be around the nature, might be traveling somewhere alone, and we were hoping that she returns back. But then, a lot of days passed, months passed, and she didn't. So, we were left with no option other than filing the complaint.
Pranav Kabra, Shraddha's psychiatrist, joins us. Pranav, again, people struggling with the question of why did she stay with him? Which is always easy for everybody else on the outside to ask, but since she confided in you, let me put this question across to you.
Sorry, ma'am, just to correct you, I'm a consulting physician and not a psychiatrist. The thing is, she had called me in the month of Feb 2021 to have a online consultation on the phone regarding some antidepressive medications and sedative medications, because some issues in the house. But later on, keeping on the phone, she had just mentioned, "I'll come with Aftab." So that way, I am relating she's the same girl who has been, murdered by her boyfriend. So I have requested her to come down to the hospital and meet me personally and do a consultation across the table, so that I can make her visit to her to a psychiatrist or to a counselor, where she can, put her grievance or any other issues to the concerned doctor. So as a physician, we look after all the patients from psychiatric to surgical cases in our hospital. So that way I had spoken to her around 2-3 minutes in the month of Feb 2021. And when I requested her to come down to the hospital, she told she'll be coming to the hospital, but she didn't turn up.
But she didn't. So this is again a classic, behavior that we see of, for lack of a better word here, victims. Because again, she didn't go back to the hospital for a checkup. She went when it was absolutely necessary. She needed to be hospitalized. The moment she got treated, she then did not go back.
The era that time when she called me, that time maximum patients were on online consultation. That because it was in pandemic era of COVID. Coronavirus, so people were definitely having online consultation. She thought that she will get medications through an online consultation, but as per the government law and FDA approvals,
antidepressants can't be given out like this over the phone. But just imagine, the plight of this young lady, how alone, how vulnerable, how scared she must have been, in all of these avenues that she put out these signals, these SOSs, yet she is now murdered today. But Mr. Shashikant, former DGP, sir, the police have got permission to conduct a narco analysis. We have Tahira Hassan asking, speaking for everyone, when she says there must be justice in this case. The police say they're going to conduct a narco analysis test, a chemical-based lie detection test, which may corroborate his alleged confession. But sir, if Aftab has confessed, why is the Delhi police opting for a narco test, which in any way doesn't have any evidential value in court, correct?
Yeah, my opening word is damn, damn, damn. For the first time I'm hearing all these things, and I'm really shocked. I don't know how to react. I personally think, had I been the officer on the spot, all these persons she reached out to and those persons who didn't help her, I would have said they were It was passive abetment. Passive abetment which led to her ultimate murder. The girl lost her life. I'll call it a passive abetment if nothing else. Coming back to the question you asked, narco test, yes, it doesn't have any evidentiary value, but lots of other things will come up, some signals, some pointers.
Okay.
Like they say the guy had gone to Himachal or Uttarakhand and this and that, who all he had got in touch with, because in that state of affairs, when is sort of mesmerization is a wrong word, but with that other influence of that sodium ethanol, he can say certain things which will be pointer, which will give more insight to the investigating officers to go and probe those and follow up those lines. But again, my last thing, damn. Thank you.
Mr. Nigam, again, the question of will there be justice in this case? Because the murderer here, her partner, was on the 17th of November sent to 5 more days of police custody after a Delhi court ruled that. The police say key evidence such as unidentifiable body parts, a knife he used, clothes from the day of the murder, all of that still need to be found. So how solid is this case then?
Sarah, let me tell you very frankly, this case is based on the circumstantial evidence. No doubt the Delhi police have a big challenge, not only for solving the case, but to carry it to its logical end. Now, since this case rests on the circumstantial evidence, the investigator will require to find out firstly, what was the motive behind the killing of Shraddha? This is number one. Motive plays an important role in circumstantial evidence. Number two, they will require to connect the chain of the circumstances connecting the accused with the crime. Number three, whether Shraddha was lastly seen alive in the company of accused and by whom. That is what we call as a last seen together. Number fourth, the human parts, body parts, which were recovered at the instance of accused Aftab in a forest area, whether they were the human parts, number one, if the DNA of those parts match with the DNA of the parents of the Shraddha, or assuming for the sake of the argument, even if they are not matched with the DNA report for certain reasons because much time has elapsed, but if it is forensic expert, if confirms that whatever the human parts were recovered at the instance of Aftab were the human parts, then the burden shifts on Aftab to explain as to how those human parts were known to him. Number five, because it is a story of the prosecution that he has cut the pieces of Shraddha and put in the freeze, and if forensic expert found certain material from the freeze, and if they can collect it, then again the burden shifts on the accused to explain as to how those human parts were in the body of, in the freeze. These are all the chain of the circumstances. So forensic expert evidence is very important. Now what you are relying on showing about the chats, that mobile chats, were written by Shraddha to her friend and etc. These are the circumstantial corroborative evidence. We don't know when the Shraddha had sent this message on WhatsApp to her friend, whether just immediately prior to her death or much earlier, 2 years, 3 years.
2 years ago, yeah.
Because in the case Manjushri Sarada, the Supreme Court has held that even the letters written by the deceased girl to her friends anticipating some threats from the accused or from the husband, then the Supreme Court said that it amounts to a dying declaration. So proximity of time of death and the proximity of the WhatsApp message is again very crucial. But Sarah, let me tell you very frankly, and I am really sorry to say that the friends of Shraddha who are having some knowledge about the conduct or about certain facts which had occurred prior to her death, they are coming on the channel, they are giving their views. I think this is helpful to the accused person. So I will request through your channel to all such her friends, they should not come on the channel. They should not state what has happened, even the psychiatric expert also, because ultimately it benefit being given to the accused. So I request through your channel that this expert and the friend should take utmost precaution. Otherwise, you see, accused lawyer will make a capital of such their statements in due course of time.
All right, so many loopholes, and clearly we're a long way off from getting justice. Then let me ask Trisha, what should we take away from this? Like, how do we improve ourselves? There's so much that is out of our own control. As we had Tahira Hassan point out, if she was being beaten in their home, there must have been neighbors. There are friends who knew about this. There were her parents who were estranged. What would be your main takeaway from this? What can we do to try and prevent something like this from happening to another Shraddha?
Thank you for that question. I think critically to remember that in these cases of domestic violence and abuse, it doesn't start away instantly with the extreme abuse. It's slow, it's insidious, right? To keep remembering that so that we then don't ask a survivor, why didn't you walk away? Because if you understand that truly, you will understand that it's not like, oh, I was hit and I chose to stay, right? There's a slow dehumanization process that a survivor goes through. Second, to understand cycles of isolation. If you see someone trying to isolate themselves, self-isolate themselves, keep reiterating that you are there. Not as someone questioning them, questioning their decisions, but saying, I am here. You want to talk about anything? I am here. Third, to keep encouraging, and this is critical, to not tell the person leave, walk away, to not further put them in a cycle of shame, but to tell them, have you considered therapy? That's it. When we get cases of marital violence, of domestic violence, we don't tell survivors walk away. Our first intervention is always just to say, we need you to be mentally strong for you to then take a decision for yourself, which means therapy. Have you considered therapy? So encouraging them to seek therapy, constantly reminding that whatever decision you take, even if you choose to stay with the person, I am here. Whenever you need help, without any question, I will be there for you. And critically also accounting for their financial independence. Yes. Because that is another element that comes in often, that women, unfortunately, sometimes in cases of domestic violence, are not financially independent to be able to walk away, especially if they have children, right? So to then in parallel set up a plan for them to be financially independent and solvent, so that when they're mentally strong, when they feel financially independent, when they feel they have a solid support system to rely on, that doesn't further put them in a cycle of shame, of self-invalidation, of isolation, they can actually feel comfortable to reach out for help, because the abuse starts slowly. So the process of walking away also takes a lot of time.
Well, and let's not forget that we've just been through a pandemic with one of the, greatest lockdowns that the world has seen. So imagine Shraddha's plight, locked in, locked down with this man who's abusing her, unable to reach out, unable to just go and get a coffee with a friend where she can talk to someone about this. So I wanted, Tahira Hassan, to you lastly, the fact that she chose to leave and isolate herself, distance herself from her family. She chose to break ties with them because she loved somebody who was not from the same caste or the same faith. This was an interfaith, intercaste relationship. We see that often, and the one reminder to all of us is, don't isolate women who do choose this, whatever their choices are, because that makes it much harder for women to seek help if they ever become victims of domestic violence. In this case, so shocking, the family had disowned her, they disapproved of her relationship, and so even her father could not file a complaint with the police. It had been weeks before friends reached out to him to say that they had not heard from his daughter.
This is what I said in my opening statement. The family in this type of interreligious marriage, they just keep themselves, leave the daughter aloof, and disown her. All the ties are broken, you can say. So she feels helpless. She's forced to live in this abusive circumstances, because she shared to her friends her pain that she was going through it.
All right.
Her colleagues. So they had to come forward. This is what I'm saying. In domestic violence, the people who are living in this apartment, they call themselves human beings. So at least they could have gone there, knocked the house door and said, I'm with her.
Just
Why
ask,
these voices
are
are
you
coming
okay?
from the
How
house?
can we help?
Who is-
It's as simple
who's
as that.
beating this girl?
If we all
She's
react
my
when we
girl.
see domestic violence, when we meet victims of domestic
Should be
violence
taken
and take some action
seriously.
to
It's
stop
not
it.
a private matter at all, you know. Domestic
Perhaps-
violence is not a private matter. We women struggled and got the law act made. You know, Domestic Violence Act, DV Act. It's the struggle of the women activists. Otherwise, the men used to say the women are most safe in
Or
the
that we're misusing
four
this
walls
law,
of the
misusing this
house.
act. All right, I want to go across, Rajat. I'm completely out of time, but I want to give you the last word on this show.
The friends had tried their level best to know her, but she had, all the college friends she had distanced herself from in the year 2019 itself. However, the things that are, right now coming ahead through few of her colleagues where she was working, that is really, spine chilling. One of it is that, she was actually very brutally beaten. The one
All
that
right.
you see here was she actually had blood,
Scar.
big blood here near her waist, here near the neck. Such big bruises she had. While she went to the Nalasopara Tuling police station,
Yeah.
and she was accompanied by one
All
of
right.
her colleagues, friend,
all the
and
signs- All the signs were
So,
there for everyone to see, for anyone who wanted to see. That's really it right now. Rajat, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for speaking about all of your memories of your dear friend Shraddha. That's it on Reality Check. Thank you for your time.